very happy to welcome to the program today the Reverend Rebecca Froom of the United First Parish Church. You might know it better as the Church of Presidents in Quincy Square, to talk to us a little bit about the church and then about a special event that's coming up later on this month. So, Reverend, great to have you here. Thanks for coming over.
Thank you so much for having me.
We always like to invite our neighbors right here in downtown
That's
Quincy.
right. Could walk right over.
Stop by and say hello.
Yeah.
But as we were chatting before we started recording, you're not so new anymore at the church, right?
Correct. I've been there since 2014, so I'm in my 12th year now.
Wow. And has it been what kind of experience has it been for you?
It's been rewarding.
Yeah.
I think it takes time to get to know a church community and then to get to know the surrounding community, because faith communities do a little bit of everything, right? Connecting with their own folks, connecting beyond the walls, doing social justice, doing pastoral care, working with the arts community. So it's been really wonderful to deepen roots over the years.
Yeah. Have you learned things about Quincy that you might not have known before?
Definitely.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of stands out to you as kind
It
of?
stands out to me.
Yeah,
And my undergrad is in anthropology, so the idea of looking at the patterns of culture
Yeah.
in a community. And Quincy, I think Quincy is kind of a microcosm of America in so many ways. Like, it's diverse in terms of demographics, in terms of politics, in terms of creative interests and our relationship to history. And so when Quincy does things really well, I think it's a gift for the city and also kind of for the wider country for how we do listen to many voices and come together. Even if we don't have shared backgrounds and everything or disagree on some things, that we can still come together as a community.
Yeah. And does the congregation at First Parish kind of reflect that?
I mean, that's a lot to reflect.
Yeah, right.
Since we are right there in the center of town, right in the heart of the city, we really like using our building and grounds in a variety of ways and sharing space with community partners, from the Prison Book Program, a nonprofit that operates out of our building, to once we hosted an art gallery space with the Quincy Art Society, to the Quincy Choral Society coming for the presidential wreath-laying ceremonies and the Pride Month opening ceremony, like bringing in our social justice partners, our history partners, and our partners in the arts community. That's something we're really proud of and excited about.
How many members roughly now in the
We
congregation?
have approximately 100 members.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
Has
so
that
it's
been-
kind of like a small congregation that has, I think, a big role within the city of Quincy, from our activism to being one of the most iconic buildings in the city.
Yeah, a lot of folks know it as the home of the crypts, right? The Adams Crypts.
Church of the Presidents within the city of the Presidents.
Right, yeah. And I know that's not lost on you, right, as the spiritual leader of that congregation.
Yes,
Yeah.
I talk about having a ministry of history.
Right.
Yeah.
So has that congregation stayed about constant over the years, would you say? Or
Yeah, I think within being that amount of membership has been similar the time I've been there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is it just Quincy folks, or is it folks from all over?
It's like the Quincy area. I'd say it's maybe 2/3 Quincy, and then folks who are largely from surrounding areas, from Braintree and Weymouth, a few from further away to Holbrook, or a couple of folks come from Hull.
Okay,
but it's mostly Quincy and the immediate towns.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. And are there any other Unitarian congregations in Quincy?
Not in Quincy itself.
Okay, but nearby.
Yeah, there's in Braintree and Milton and Dorchester.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So you mentioned you have different community groups that you host at your church. One of them is coming up on Thursday, November the 20th. This will be at 7 p.m., a Transgender Day of Remembrance Vigil, remembering in love, resisting together, rising in hope.
Yes.
What's going on?
Yeah, well, Transgender Day of Remembrance Vigil is a tradition that began in 1999 following the murder of a transgender woman, Rita Hester, actually right nearby in Austin, in Boston. And the following year, her friends and fellow community organizers organized a vigil to be like, whoa, when transgender people are killed for living their own lives, we need to remember them and commemorate this violence and come together and witness to build a more loving world. Quincy is hosting our 3rd annual Transgender Day of Remembrance. So this tradition began in 2023, and it is, at this point, the primary organizers are the Quincy Interfaith Network, working in partnership with United First Parish Church and Quincy Pride and the PFLAG group that meets in Quincy, which is part of the Greater Boston PFLAG Network.
Yes. Okay. So what will actually be happening at this event?
Well, the heart of a Transgender Day of Remembrance vigil is reading the names and remembering the lives of those who have died by violence or suicide in the past year. So this year we'll be commemorating 59 people who have died across the United States, 31 who have been murdered, and 28 who've died by suicide. Yeah, and as each name is read, and clergy from the Quincy area take turns reading the names, and we toll the bell, the church bell, after each name, and light a candle for each name. So it's a largely solemn time to kind of gather our hearts together and let our hearts break a little bit together, and then light that candle of love and witness for those who have lost and those who remain.
Are there other similar vigils happening at other Unitarian congregations?
Yeah, and not just Unitarian congregations. And this is, it's an interfaith event.
Okay.
I think we're uniquely suited in a broad theology, by having a broad theology and also being right there in the center of town. Yeah. So it's outdoor event.
It's outdoor.
Folks will gather on the common, and then the portico of the church serves as the stage for speakers and musicians. And there are Transgender Day of Remembrance vigils happening throughout the Greater Boston and Eastern Massachusetts area over the next week or so as part of Transgender Awareness Week. Some are happening a day or two before or a day or two afterwards.
Depending on their schedules and things.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So will there be relatives or friends of victims, do you know, at the Quincy event?
Not that I'm aware of. As I was looking through the names of the people we'll be remembering this year, and it's people from every region in the country, but no one from Massachusetts this year. And Massachusetts is relatively inclusive on the scale of the country, has lots of LGBTQ, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer affirming communities and policies, but the bigotry and the violence is here as well. I mean, that the murder of Rita Hester in 1998 in Alston is what was the impetus for this event. Really shows that Massachusetts is not immune from hatred.
So you mentioned music.
Yes.
Who's performing?
Yeah, so our acting director of music at United First Parish Church, Tony Winters, will be doing a lot of the music and opportunity for the gathered group to sing together as well. I think singing is such a powerful shared human experience and spiritual practice. So one of the songs we'll be singing, I won't sing it here.
Maybe a few lines.
Better part as a group, but the words are, how could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul.
Okay, it sounds like a familiar verse. Is that a current pop song? It sounds familiar. No?
Oh my goodness, I didn't write the author. It shows up in one of our Unitarian Universalist hymnals.
Oh, okay.
I first learned it in the 90s in youth group, in youth worship settings.
All right.
But it's simple, it's resonant. I think it's a song that we can sing in sadness for those who have died, who've experienced hate to this ultimate degree. And also a song we sing to each other to affirm the beauty and the love that we see in our transgender kindred, in their families, in their circles of community, and for all the allies, to sing together about honoring our shared humanity, our shared love and ability to love.
Sure. So what, Reverend, do you kind of hope folks will take away from this event, and maybe work it into some type of action, right?
Yeah, and I hope that part of what they'll take away is just the visceral experience of pausing, really in an act of lament and witness. You know, we hear statistics about the different policies and legislation happening at different state levels and the federal level that make it harder and harder for transgender people to live their full selves, to come out as transgender, as a student or a teacher, and depending on where we're looking in the country. But to really let oneself feel, you know, that Rita Hester back in 1998 was stabbed in her own apartment by someone she trusted, and yet held this hatred against her. And, you know, to let oneself deeply feel the pain and the wrongness of that, and then to feel the connection of coming together in community and being like, we have the courageous love to let our hearts break together, and we have the courageous love to hold a candle and sing and be like, hey, we know this isn't getting magically better. In many ways, it's getting worse, the cultural atmosphere for our transgender kindred. And we are here to stand together, to sing together, to light a candle together. So I think feeling that human connection to the stories of loss and to one another, that depth of feeling grounds people going into taking action. On that note, after the vigil, we will have a gathering in the church's parish hall, a light reception for folks to share food and fellowship, and we'll have an information table. So groups like Greater Boston PFLAG Quincy Support Group, Quincy Pride, hopefully the LGBTQ Commission of the city will have their materials. I'm hoping to get materials from some other organizations. For instance, there's a organization in Massachusetts called Pink Haven that is, as LGBTQ people, especially transgender people, in parts of the country that have really increasingly oppressive policies and cultural norms, there are folks who are leaving those states that are basically becoming internal to the country refugees. And some of them are moving to Massachusetts as a place of relative safety and incredibly high cost of living.
Right, yes, we all know. Yeah.
And so Pink Haven helps people find places to stay.
I see.
So, you know, so the action part, you know, we'll have some resources for that, and just the community building that forms when people are gathered together in a like-hearted way.
Sure. So, I mean, it sounds like it'd be an event for transgender folks maybe who are experiencing difficulty, or their friends or colleagues looking for something.
Friends, colleagues, families. I think families, especially like parents of transgender youth, move through the world with like a lot of fear and a lot of hope and a lot of pride and gratitude, and then that fear again, you know, will their child be able to live their full life, and will their child be able to be safe?
Right.
You know, like some of the people who we commemorate died very young, in their teens and their 20s. Only 2 people of these 59 people we'll remember next week are over the age of 50.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, and so the 28 people who died by suicide, like, they need family and teachers and community to love them. And then those family and friends and teachers and churches who love them, they need friends.
Right.
You know, we need circles upon circles of people that will hold each other when someone is in a marginalized place in life. Or, you know, so I come to this conversation and this vigil as an ally, as someone who is cisgender, which is the word for when you're the sex that you were born with matches your own identity. Cisgender, CIS, is the word for that. You know, so this event is for everyone, for all of those different nesting circles of community to love and support one another. Yeah.
So the message is you're not alone, right?
Yeah, you're not alone as an individual, as a parent, as an ally, as a community. You know, I feel very fortunate that my faith tradition is welcoming and inclusive to people of all genders and sexualities and faith backgrounds. But there are some people who, as an individual person of faith or as an individual congregation, might be very welcoming and proud of that. But others within their denomination aren't there.
There's conflicts, right? Yes.
Yeah. So to be able to support one another at all of those levels is really important.
Sure. Free events, yes?
Yes, a free event.
Okay.
We'll have candles available.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thursday, November 20th, 7 p.m. On the steps of the church.
So folks will gather in the common.
Okay.
Wear a coat.
Yes.
And in case of inclement weather, we'll go inside to the sanctuary.
Okay.
But,
Plan B.
Yeah. We've been able to gather outside in the previous 2 years, so I'm hopeful we can do that.
Okay. Very
again.
good. Anything else we should let folks know about right now?
There's an announcement about
Yeah.
the event on our church's website, so ufpc.org.
Okay.
There's also a Facebook event,
Okay.
but it's probably easier to remember,
Okay.
ufpc.org.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah.
no registration or anything, right? Just show
No
up.
registration. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me
We're
and
happy to
helping
do it.
shine a light on this important moment and important issue.
We're happy to do it. Please come back with, I know you
Yes.
have events all year
Yes.
long, and we're happy to help you get the
Definitely.
word out as well. Great
I
to
look
see
forward
you.
to that.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
And thanks for watching us here at AM Quincy. I'm Joe Catalano, and we'll see you next time.